When you're starting the business and you're so immersed and engulfed in everything and want control over everything because you know how important every little piece is, it's very difficult to let some of that go and to delegate. We still believe that we can do the job better than the person we're delegating it to every time.
Fallacy.
Right? We think we could do it better than they can. It goes back to the fear of the unknown, right? Are they going to mess something up? Are they going to mess something that's going to lose me money, right? It can create a lot of fear and anxiety. But I think as entrepreneurs and business owners, you have to eventually just take your own leap of faith, right? And you got to step back and try to establish the process as best you possibly can, right? You can't think of everything, but try to set the person up for success and then step back and let it happen. Otherwise, you're always going to be in your business, never going to be on your business. All right, everybody, welcome to Active to Passive Podcast, where we discuss transferring active income to passive investments to create financial freedom. My name is Zach Downs, and I am very happy today because we have Mr. Jacob Davenport, aka Real Estate Jake, real estate agent, real estate investor, my friend, and he's here with us today to just drop some bombs of knowledge for all of us. And so I'm excited. Thank you, man. Thanks for coming in.
Oh man, thanks for having me. It's always a treat when we connect. It goes without saying, we seem to ride a similar vibration. So to be able to come out today and connect with you and kind of mastermind, it's really a treat because I know that, success loves two things. Success loves speed, and success loves to be around other successful individuals. That is what you are, and so I just appreciate you for allowing me on your platform.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate that.
Absolutely.
So we got a lot of good stuff we're going to talk about today, but first things first, I want to talk about a story, something I just experienced recently. So I was just at the gym yesterday, and it's first week of the new year. Gym is packed, right? Everybody's got the New Year's resolution, which I love to see. I know there's a lot of, sometimes you see stuff online about people hating on the fact that the gyms are packed. I love to see it. I love to see everybody getting in there, trying to take action on their New Year's resolutions. But I have to say, I did notice something yesterday, which was I saw so many people that I just didn't feel like were intentional or bringing any intensity to that action. So again, I love the fact that we're taking action, but when I go to the gym, I am pushing, or I am completing my exercise to the point of failure, right? Like if your first rep looks like this, then your 9th or 10th or whatever you're trying to accomplish, right, should be, I can't do it, right? And I that's it. I'm all out. And unfortunately, I saw people on their phone, doing X, Y, and Z like this. And I just thought to myself, all that's happening is you're checking a box that you came to the gym, right? So you can either post on IG or whatever, hey, I went to the gym today. And without having that intensity or intention, you're not going to get the result. And so this is not a podcast about fitness or going to the gym, but that same principle translates to business. And so if you have a goal of making 20 outbound cold calls in a day, but you just do it to check it off your list to say that I did it, you're not going to get the result. The same way if you go to the gym but have no intensity, you're not going to get the result you want, right? And so I guess that was my thing that I saw yesterday. I know you were all about taking action and a very intentional guy. You and I have talked about that before. And so I guess just what are your kind of thoughts on that overall?
Oh, God. That's something that hits home for me because what comes to mind for me is dog. Mm-hmm. I use that phrase synonymously in a variety of spaces. But the true definition of a dog for me is somebody that has something on the inside that drives them. They have a battery in their back that drives them. Yep. It pushes their purpose. It sets their goals. It sets the tone. It sets their expectation. That's their why. Why do they get out of bed? Why do they, for your gym reference, why do they push one more rep, one more set? Mm-hmm. Because you have the dog in you. And a lot of times I don't believe that this is something that can be taught, whether it has to be personal. I'm doing this because I personally have a problem with my weight. I personally have a problem with my financial position. I personally have a problem with me not being a competitor and being acknowledged by my peers in the industry I'm at. So whatever it is very, very, I think goals are very, very personal.
Yeah.
And so when I think about why that is, or why some people have it and some people don't have it, I never really can solve that question.
Well, do you think that, so you said that you think that's just something people have inside of them. I guess maybe the question is, how does someone find that dog that's inside of them? Like, is it experiential only? Like, is it you have to be put in a certain situation, you have to hit a bottom, right, for that dog to come out? Like, what's your take on that? Or how does somebody find that dog?
It goes back to personal. Everybody is, if you are on earth, life comes with its ups and downs. People are in different positions. Some people are born rich. Some people are born poor. Some people are born a little more intelligent, right? Or more inclined than others, more athletic. We're all born with skill sets, and some play to our advantages. But regardless of how you come into this earth and your position on this earth, you are going to be facing conflict. So conflict doesn't discriminate. Right? Because you have to get out of bed every day and go get to it.
For sure.
Whether it's chasing down your dreams, whether it's raising a family, whether it's pursuing a relationship. These things come with conflicts, and overcoming them brings us appreciation and value, right?
Sure.
And so I think that everybody has that personal conversation with themselves in their head about something that they have going on or a goal that they want to attain. The difference is those that choose to do something about it.
Yeah, so I completely agree that I think every individual has their own set of gifts and skills, right, that God's blessed them with, and then we all have our own challenges that we have to overcome, right? And so I think that's like the story of each one of our lives is how do we handle these gifts and how do we handle these obstacles, right? So I completely agree with you. Let's talk about, let's jump into goals, right? Because like you just said, goals are important. We all need to have goals. And I know everybody right now, again, first week of the year, everybody's talking about 2024 and all of the goals for the new year. But I want to kind of hone in and say, what are not your 2024 goals, but what are your Q1 goals for 2024?
Good question. I'm
full of them.
To take a insight of my goals, what I had to do is reflect on kind of my performance last year, see the things that I did well and see the things that I struggled with. And I flipped 7 doors last year. It was relatively lucrative, learned a lot of lessons, went through a lot of challenges that come with the lessons and the blessings, right?
Yep.
So this year, my goal is to double that. So I'm going to be doing 15 projects this year.
Okay. That's great.
And that can be easily done if you systematize it, right? You put the right pieces in place, make sure you have the homes that you can flip.
Yep.
Make sure you have the finances, make sure you have the team to execute it. I'm a real estate agent and investor, so I'll list them myself, right, and buy them. But that's not going to be the hard part for my Q1, because that's more specifically what you said, but I want to make sure I brought some clarity. For Q1, I am hyper focused on being the professional that's going to be able to execute this over the year. Meaning I'm taking a back seat from being a hustler and an entrepreneur within working in my business. And what I'm doing is I'm taking a more CEO approach, a more leadership approach, a more strategic approach to become the individual that can run this business, systematize the business, organize the business, and make sure I'm reaching the benchmarks. So Q1 is all about becoming that person quickly as possible.
I love it. I heard, I want to say it was Grant Cardone, somebody online talking about the benefits of like going from in the business to working on the business. And it was something along the lines of, if you leave the active role that you're taking right now in your business and you come back 90 days later and the business hasn't grown, right? Then you don't have a business, right? And so if the steps that you're talking about are putting the pieces together to where you can say, okay, I don't have to be in the business, I'm working kind of on the business from a strategic direction standpoint. Like I think not enough people take that approach. And so if you have a ambitious goal like going from 7 to 15, that's doubling, right? That's a big goal. I think that's awesome, man. So let's talk about that hustler to CEO mindset, because you mentioned that. I want to dig into that a little bit more. So so many people I think right now are focused on making money, right? And that's like the hustler mindset. So the CEO mindset of working on the business, do you have any systems in particular that you would like to implement in the next upcoming quarter that you feel like gets you to that point faster? Like, are there any specific systems you're looking to put into place?
Let me see if I can answer that. There's a lot of things that I'm working on. One of the systems I'm working on is my staff.
Okay.
And so I'm bringing on staff. That goes for maintaining the individuals that work with me to execute the projects, labor, sheetrock, roofing, things of that, masonry, things of that nature. But then I'm also bringing on an admin, because there are certain things that I have to determine what my time is worth. Yep. And there are certain things that if I'm going to grow, because I'm growing, there are certain things that I have no business working on. But before I can hire on an admin, I have to have crystal clear criteria about what I need this admin to do. So what I did even on Christmas Day, I didn't go celebrate Christmas. Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, what I did is I went purged all my emails, all my contacts, all my correspondence, all my notes and all my books, and I went and got all my contacts and put them in my CRM. Very, very, very tedious process. I think I did about 3,800 inputs, one by one by one by one by one. Lots of coffee, but lots of focus, because I knew the necessity of this. Because if I bring on an admin and I say, hey, send out this email blast, letting people know we're raising money. Send out this email blast to say, hey, I have $3 million cash. I'm looking for 5 homes in Sacramento. Let me know if you have these things. This is what I'm going, things like that are what I'm going to need to grow the business so I can track down more deals. But I can't do this if I'm not organized and I can assign that to my admin. So that's what this Q1, really, I mean, my New Year's resolution started before the new year. I knew I needed to execute so I can make it to this year. And so that's what I started doing, putting the organization of my business together. So your question was, do I have certain systems? My systems right now is take care of everything I need to take care of so I can offload it to somebody else and they can do the job.
Yeah, so you have to have a clear process that you know end to end, because that's the only way you can hand it off, right?
Correct.
Where it's easy for us, if just in our head we know all the things that need to get done, it's really hard to outsource that or have someone else do what's in your head. You you have to have a written process for it, right?
Agreed.
Yeah. No,
and I, knowing me, I won't let go. See, that's the growth about this entrepreneur, this hustler, this entrepreneur, this CEO. Your ability to let go of things and assign them to somebody else.
Yep.
Is my time, should I be sending out email blasts? Or should I be negotiating deals?
Yep.
Should I be evaluating deals? Should I be working with my accountant? That's another thing I'm doing currently right now. I'm interviewing accountants. Because historically on all of my flips, I've been the hustler. I've been the active entrepreneur. I'm the one that goes to Home Depot and spends $7,000, $8,000, $3,000, picks up lumber, right? Mm-hmm. That was an important part of my growth, because now I can scale and I know my business.
Sure.
I know what it takes to flip a property. I know when I look at a property, I can determine to a couple grand what it's going to take to move this property and whether it's a good purchase, right?
Yep.
So that was a very vital process in my growth.
Yep.
But now where I'm at, I when I was first flipping, and even most recently, man, I have bags of receipts for everything that I've ever bought. Bags of receipts, right?
Okay.
Because I'm trying to keep myself in line for accounting purposes, or if I ever get audited. But now what I'm doing, instead of me keeping receipts and me keeping some accounting and trying to determine how much I've spent on a property, I'm hiring a bookkeeper.
Yeah.
That's not my job.
Yep.
Get it off my plate. That way I could spend my hours. You get 24 hours in a day. I spend about 9 to 12 hours working per day. I need 9 to 12 hours doing income generating activities.
Yep.
And me chasing down and counting receipts do not make me money. I promise you, I never made $1 off that.
Yeah, no, for sure. Might save you some dollars though if you do get audited. It's funny when you were talking about going to Home Depot and how going through that experience was necessary to teach you.
Yeah.
Reminded me of a story. So when I had the solar company, I think I had already had it we were like on year 2 or 3. And so we already had a staff of maybe 15 or so people. We were growing, and I was working with a larger solar company, and the owner of that company, they were significantly larger. And the owner of the company had asked me how many actual installations I had personally done. And by this time, I started the company more in the sales side and hired folks to do the install. And then we had W-2, we had crews and trucks and trailers and everything. But I personally never was in a situation where I did the physical install myself, right? So we were subcontracting at first, then we hired employees, and then they did it. And so I'm having this meeting with him, and he goes, how many installs have you personally done? And I'm explaining to him why I haven't done that because of X, Y, and Z reason. And he's like, that's unacceptable. Like you need to have at least, I'm not saying that you have to do that every day, but you have to know your business. You have to understand your business. Like, hey, and he told me, he goes, if one of your employees comes back and says, hey, we couldn't get the job done because X, Y, or Z, how do you know that's true or not? Like, how can they be accountable to you if you don't understand that? And that was one of those, like, I didn't want to hear that, because I didn't want to get up on the roof and do this install. But at the same time, I felt like I had no choice. So sure enough, following week, Monday, I show up at the warehouse, and we had the crews, in the morning, all the crews would show up, and they would kind of do a safety meeting and all that stuff, and then head out to each job site. And I was just there, and I'm like, all right, because we ran 4-man crews. So I'm like, I'm guy number 4 on, I think, crew 2 or crew 3, whatever it was. And they were all like, are you serious? You're going to go out and do this today? And I'm like, yeah, absolutely. So went out with the crew, we got the job done, and it was invaluable for me to go out and experience that. It gave me a different perspective and insight on the crews that we had doing the installs. And I think I ended up doing 2 or 3 jobs total. And it was invaluable. Like, I'm so happy that became an experience because it helped in all sorts of ways. So I guess I give that long story just to say, I think that even some of the things that we look back on and say to ourselves, this was not the best use of my time, right? Like, I could hire somebody to do that. We still have to do them to know
Very
our business,
necessary.
right?
Extremely necessary. I think that's an invaluable part of any process. You do need to know the business. When you talk about that process you went through and that journey you went through, of many things that it gave you birth to and knowledge, is it allowed you to know what your staff is up against.
Yeah.
Does it really take 6 hours? Does it really take 2 days? How are they interacting, right? So, and your staff is your money makers. Yep. That is how your business survives.
Yep.
And then you look at the process of your business, right? And how these installations represent profitability and things of that nature. So, I mean, I agree with you wholeheartedly. What I do know is, like, even in flipping, it seems to be one of the hottest things people want to do. Real estate has so many different avenues to make money. The one you see most commonly and popular right now is wholesaling. Why? Because it takes very little money and very little skill. So you're hoping to shake down a tree and get some bananas out of it for free. I'll make a couple of calls. I'll drive for dollars. I'll door knock, right? And I know some very successful people that do wholesaling, right?
Yeah.
But I know hundreds of people that have gotten into wholesaling and haven't made a dime. Right. So when you compare that to flipping, what is the difference? Why is it that more people aren't flipping as opposed to cold calling? Because the idea is that I'm going to get into cold calling. I'm going to make some money. I'm going to use that money to fund my first flip, because you need money to close the deal. Right.
Yep.
The barrier of entry, when it's free, will bring about a lot of people. Flipping requires not only just money, it takes information. You have to know how to execute it.
Yep.
Me, even as an entrepreneur and a hustler on my job sites, imagine this. If you ever wonder, like, Jake, what do you do? Well, I do everything, right? But really, what's my most valuable asset when I'm doing flips? I hire people that are skilled, from stucco guys, sheetrock guys, plumbers, electrician, foundation, framers, you name it. I have all these contacts for any type of project that I'm up against. But inevitably, with any project you will have surprises. The other thing that doesn't meet the untrained eye for a lot of people when you look at flipping is this. You go hire a variety of talent, especially if you're not working with a contractor. You are the contractor, right?
Yeah.
Owner builder.
Owner builder.
You'll hire a sheetrock individual. You'll hire a plumber. You'll hire an electrician to get all these things done. What you'll find in those industries is people are very niche specific. If they do sheetrock, they only do sheetrock. If they paint, they only paint. If they do framing, they only do framing. And the way education of these skill sets are trained, it only trains you to repetitiously do the same thing you do every single time. Come in, print the sheetrock up, tack it down, tape it, mud it, get out. Every single time. Now, here's where my value has come in. When I'm looking at, I just did this duplex. And one of the things that I was doing was I was building a kitchen. And the electrician came in before we did any sheetrock, any cabinets, and he started plugging in outlets around the kitchen for the garbage disposal and around the sink and things of that nature. And I left for 2 days. I called him. He went first. Then the sheetrock guy was going to come second. Then I was going to have tapers and mudders. Okay. Sheetrock guy goes after him. I didn't go back to the property because I was gone. Well, when I got there Monday for them to start putting mud on the walls before we put the cabinets on, I realized that the electrical outlets, they were too low, because what I knew was that I was going to put cabinets in and then countertops, and then I had a 6-inch backsplash. The electrician doesn't calculate for these things. Correct. It's not his job. Yeah. He's coming in to run electrical, put in outlets, and get out of there. Yep. Same with the sheetrock guy. The sheetrock guy he came in and did the same thing. He covered up the walls, cut out the holes for the electrical, set everything up. They were ready to go. Yep. Now I had to pull these walls back off and start this process over. It cost me a little bit more money. But like what I'm really getting at is individuals, they're very niche specific. So for me, in my experience in flipping, my sole job is to make sure the process and the project is executed. My job isn't to paint. Yeah. And I seldom do paint. But because I'm the leader, I have to make sure this happens, because it can cost me money, delay my closing, and just be a bit of a headache. And so you have to go through the flipping process several times over and be a hustler and get your feet in the mud and understand these things. Otherwise, you will never be able to execute, and you will pay more. Yeah, absolutely. No doubt. I think, just to piggyback on what you just said about going from wholesaling to flipping, and why you see so many people wholesaling and significantly less flipping, I think it's absolutely capital. It's information. And I think there's also an element of fear that comes with that. So even if somebody does have the capital and they know they have good contacts from contract, there's still a level of, I think, fear that a lot of people have in taking that next step. Where's the fear stem from? The unknown. Lack of experience. Yeah, lack of experience. That's the only difference. Which is why I think that, like, having a mentor is, again, valuable, because if someone is doing a great job wholesaling and they're generating capital and they want to then do larger projects, or they kind of want to, they come across a deal. Let's even say that I'm a wholesaler and I come across a deal that is phenomenal deal. So much so that I want to undertake the flip myself, but I've never done a flip before. I might end up wholesaling that out anyway. Whereas if I worked with a mentor or somebody that could kind of help me through that process, now I was able to get that done, so maybe generate more revenue on that project. And number two, there's still going to be some fear, right? Because you don't do one project and you feel like an expert, but at least the first project's always the hardest, right? Everybody says your first sale is the most difficult, your first flip is the most difficult. Like, it's that first step is always the most difficult, and then after that, it becomes easier. So I just think you have to get set up with people that have paved the road before you, because it's just a much smoother drive than going off on this bumpy 4x4 road on your own. So that reminds me of two, and I don't know who coined the quotes, but the first one is success is in the work we're avoiding. And so many people they avoid flip, and they say, I'll do the easy thing, I'll try to wholesale, and that doesn't go anywhere, right? And the other thing that makes me think of is, the old adage that says, give a man a fish, he'll eat for a day. Teach a man a fish, he'll eat for a lifetime. Mm-hmm. And so when you talk about mentorship, or take mentorship off it, because mentorship they're great. Yeah. And they're necessary, but people won't do the things they need to do in order to get a good mentor, right? They want it for free, right? Sure. And so I say this to say that what I know to be true is that before somebody gets a mentor, before they even start on their journey, they need to understand, especially in real estate investing, because of the complexities of it and the things that keep people out of it, they have to understand the benefit of learning how to fish rather than somebody giving you a fish, right? What will it take for you to learn how to do it? Would you pay for a mentor? Would you pay for coaching? Would you sacrifice your time with your family to get into the field and shadow somebody, right? Because what you're going to see, very similar to this fish metaphor, is that once you're taught how to fish, you'll keep eating for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
And the sacrifices, and I don't shy away from them. I made a lot of sacrifices, and I have so far to go as I'm growing and scaling. But I made so many sacrifices when I got into real estate investing. I still make sacrifices. I was working on Christmas, right? And I understand how to flip. Where are those that say that they're going to be dogs, they're hungry? Where were you at on Christmas? Where were you at on Thanksgiving? Where were you at on New Year's? Were you out drinking? Were you having fun? And if that's what you choose to do, but what are you going to give up? Once you understand how to fish, for me, I've been living off this game for the rest of my life.
Yep.
Since I learned how to flip property and understand how to evaluate property, I've been having an all-you-can-eat buffet of the benefits of fish in real estate investing, even if it's not flipping a property.
Yeah.
I got to benefit off meeting you, a relationship with you, because I learned real estate, and look where I'm at today.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm still eating off it.
I love it. I love it. So let me ask you this question. Let's go deeper then into that. What would you say was the biggest sacrifice that you made? You know, because I agree that there's a ton of sacrifices that you make. And maybe it doesn't have to be the biggest, but what was one of the larger sacrifices that you feel like were made when you were initially entering the real estate space or real estate investing space? Or it could
probably just be two. I could name two. I would name the one that I would probably share with people so they can understand it and they can do better, right? Because it's about growing together in real estate. One, I left. I'm from Sacramento. I moved to Stockton. I left everything behind. And I sold everything I had, right? And so I don't know anybody from Stockton. I had a little bit of money and a dream, and I chased it. That was more personal. I could have done that because I'm a dog naturally, and if it didn't work out, I could have went back to Sacramento. But one of the things I did was early on when I started getting into real estate investing, I was already immersed heavily into a relationship, and real estate investing requires so much time and so much effort. And when you are a dog about it and you are pursuing it very intentionally, executing, what happens is your blinders come on.
Yeah.
And so for me, real estate investing, the decisions I made cost me a relationship at one point, and it was an important relationship, right? And so looking back, it sucks that the relationship, because I was not giving my partner the appropriate attention. I'm chasing my goals. I'm gonna get this money. I'm gonna buy a house. I'm gonna buy another house. I'm gonna buy 100 doors. Wait right there. I'm gonna chase it down. Wait right there. I'm gonna chase it down. So that was my approach, and I didn't see what I was missing. And so you have to give up so much. But I always like to share with people that as you are pursuing your goals, be very careful. Be willing to give up, but make sure that what you're giving up is what you want to give up. So
yeah. I think I didn't think we were going that heavy, but I mean that's a heavy sacrifice, man.
You asked me what I gave up.
Yeah. No, that's a heavy sacrifice. I mean, I think, you know, we all talk about I'm willing to sacrifice, right? Like people say that all the time, right? Like I want to accomplish my goal. I'm willing to sacrifice. And I think what I was hearing from you there that really hit me was, it's easy to say you're willing to sacrifice because I think in your mind you associate the easy things to sacrifice and think those are the things that I will sacrifice.
Mm-hmm. It has to hurt.
But what happens at times is that it's the thing that you don't end up seeing that ends up being the sacrifice for you to accomplish the goal. And that's tough, but you only know that after you've already sacrificed, right?
There's no free lunch.
Yeah,
there's no free lunch. And so I think that I was told one time, I've never been married, but a buddy of mine was getting married. He was trying to look for a wedding ring, and we were trying to find out how much you spend on a wedding ring. So what I had learned after some investigation, it should be 3 months pay. Okay. 3 to 6 months of annual pay, right? So I mean, you do the math on how much you earn.
Yep.
But the other caveat to it is 3 to 6 months pay, and it's supposed to hurt. You're supposed to dig in that wallet or that chest. It's supposed to hurt a little bit. That is supposed to be the cost of the ring,
sacrifice.
right?
Yeah.
Depending on where you are at financially.
Sure.
So I say that with success, it comes with so much. Whatever you give up to gain success the way we want it, the money, the freedom, you have to give up something that hurts.
Yeah.
But typically, in my observation, I mean, I've done mentorship and I've been in the real estate community and other industries many, many times. Most of us are mediocre, and most of us don't want to give up anything. We will give up when people come to me. I'm sure they come to you. They say, "Hey, I want to get in real estate investing. You know, I got $10,000. Let me put the 10." This a friend of mine said, "Let me give you 10,000, man. And when you flip the property, you just give me 20, man." He pulled the money out of his wallet. He's like, "You take it." You don't understand how this works. The reason why you don't understand how it works because you never given anything up. Mm-hmm. So that's one of the commonalities that I see with those that are successful is people that really give up something, earn something.
Yeah. I was going to say, I don't think there's anybody that I've watched or listened to that I think has reached a level of success that doesn't have a clear slew of things that they sacrificed to get that success. And obviously there's a lesson there that if you're on that grind and have that goal of whatever the success is in your mind, right? It's not going to be achieved unless you're willing to sacrifice, right? And like you just said, you sacrifice your Christmas day, right? To get those 3,800 data points in there so you can have a good 2024. Like that's a huge sacrifice, right? I don't know how many people are willing to do that, let alone all those other things that we went into. So, yeah, man, that's good stuff. So diving back into first quarter goals, I've got a couple of, so I've got two. Well, you have your duplex that is just listed. You said you have how many offers on it?
I have 3.
He's got 3 offers. Love it. I've got 2 flips. We're listing one this week. In fact, it might be listed today. And then I've got another one that's probably not going to get listed for a couple of weeks. So those will get wrapped up. I guess my first quarter goals would be I'd like to get 2 more flips fully completed by the end of Q1. And I'd like to add 8 to 10 more doors for the long-term hold stuff that I've got going on. I think that's a good goal for me. Obviously, I'm jumping into the social media space. And so social media team has a pretty ambitious goal for me for the first quarter is 25,000 folks over platforms. I think that's pretty ambitious, but I guess my thought is that my goal is to provide as much value as I possibly can. And then if people are seeing value in that and I can help people, then whatever the number is, I'm happy with.
Yeah.
So that's really what that boils down to. But that's I would say my first quarter goals for this year.
I think that I think your goals are on the money. You can definitely achieve that. Why do I say that? I've been recording for some time now, and your audience want different things, but more than anything, they want value. And the content you've been putting out has been very, very valuable. What brings it most value? You know what you're talking about. And with so much content out there, people can really determine based off tonality, ability to hold a conversation or provide continuous information for a period of time. People could tell whether you know what you're doing or not, or you know what you're talking about. Mm-hmm. And then they also look at the results. And so you have massive, massive results. And I mean, I won't go too deep into your successes and your stories because that's for you to, that's your story to tell. But I do know this, that like with a bamboo tree, bamboo trees, when you plant them, they grow in the dirt first, a couple feet actually, right? They grow in the dirt first before you even see them protrude out the ground and go north, right? Mm-hmm. And so for you, because of so much work you put in and so much experience you have and the way you connect with individuals, you have become a bamboo tree that has very, very strong roots, right? And now that you are creating your platform and you're providing the truth, you're providing value, you're providing insight, you're providing uncommon information that a lot of people don't. I mean, I don't know a whole lot of people that are investing out of state. They could talk that talk, but show me. And so that is what I know is going to be a benefit for you, is you will be able to share with the world all of these experiences that really help a lot of people. That's value. And that's when your tree, well, it's already started growing northward already.
Thank you, man. Real estate agent, real estate investor, social media expert, and arborist, Jacob Davenport on the bamboo tree. I love it.
I grew a tree
Dude,
before.
That was deep, man. I'm not talking bamboo roots either. That was no, but seriously, I do appreciate all of that. I really appreciate that. And that's what I'm trying to do, right? Like, my whole goal is just take the experiences and lessons, mistakes. I made plenty of those, and then try to share that with as many people as possible, so they can hopefully accomplish whatever their personal goals are and learn from my mistakes. Right? Yeah. That's really. We talked before we started this about, everybody talks about their A's, but it's good to talk about the F's too. And I think that, hopefully I can show and explain to people all the F's that I've taken, because they've been numerous, and hopefully to make that path a little smoother for folks. So. Yeah. I did actually just get a text message, speaking of those first quarter goals, that one of those Ohio properties, I'm doing a lot of investing out in Ohio right now, and I tried to pick up a duplex, and I was like a little bit late. And this morning, by late, I mean somebody else, they had already accepted an offer from another party. And this morning, I was browsing around online, looking to see what opportunities were available. And sure enough, I saw it back in the market. So I shot the agent a message, and she just reached out to them, and it's looking good. So
bingo.
Hopefully,
might have an offer accepted.
Yeah, that'd be nice. Yeah,
that's knocking down those Q1 goals.
Exactly.
Let me ask you a question.
Just fire away.
I think that I see two schools of thoughts. Well, two behaviors. Really, you can cut it down the middle and define it. I see people that do less and show more, and then I see people that show more and do less. And in getting to know you, you show very little of your success, but you're doing a whole lot, right? That kind of goes back to that bamboo tree.
Appreciate that.
Which is a preference. Plus, you're private. Your family's big to you, and you really don't care what other people think. You're out here grinding, chasing down your goals, bringing out that dog. I always wonder. I've been reposting a lot of your content and watching your content. You're doing well. Sometimes they don't know how raw you are. They don't know how dope you are. Ooh wee. And so I bring that up to you because one, that's one of the things I noticed. But as your peer and as your friend, I want to let you know you got to start telling these folks all that stuff you have going on, because you have some killer stuff going on.
Yeah, man. It's, I struggle sometimes with talking about all the different things we have going on, because I do see a lot of content online, and it does feel like, and I'm not trying to yeah, well, I'm not trying to put what people's intentions are. Like, I don't know the heart of any other man.
Who
right?
am I to judge?
You know what I mean? Like, yeah, exactly. Like I can't, but I just want to make sure that it doesn't come across as like boastful or braggadocious in any way. Right. And so, but at the same time, I do want to make sure that I can get that information out, because there's a lot of lessons inside of that. Right. Yeah. And so it's just like trying to find that balancing act. And the other thing on the flip side of that is, I'll talk to some people and they'll say like, man, you're doing a lot right now, but relative to what I see for my own goals, I feel like it's not very much. So then I don't like to talk about it, because I feel like it's right, not as great as the vision that I have too. Yeah. But that's all, I guess, my personal. I need to go lay on a long couch somewhere and have get it out and have somebody kind of go over that with me. But no, yeah, we do have a lot going on right now. We're, like I said, actively continuing to purchase stuff in the Ohio market, focused on duplex, triplex, kind of multifamily space, because I just think that the Midwest has massive opportunities for cash flow properties that we just don't really have access to here in California, really coastal market. And the mobile home park stuff that you and I've talked about that I've got going on right now, it's the same thing. Like all of those projects are all cash flow centric. And I think the podcast being about taking active income, moving it into passive investments, I'm trying to, do what I say, right? And take the money, move it into those things that are going to provide more cash flow. And that, I think, presents the opportunity for that level of financial freedom that everybody always talks about, right? And let me make one other thing clear too on here, is that I'm not saying, because I know I've done some content recently about not having the fun stuff, right? Like I just did I was talking about don't buy an exotic car, right? Move that into passive income instruments. I think I'm all about people buying exotic cars, right? All I'm saying is make sure that the priority list is right, and or make sure that your actions align with what you say your priorities are. That's probably a better way to put it. So if you say that your priority is time, then don't spend the money on the toys, right? Now, once you've bought your time back, then go buy all the toys you want, right? Like, do whatever you want to do. But I guess my thing is, a lot of people talk about they want their time back, they want financial freedom, but then the actions that they take don't align with that. Yeah. And I think we see that a lot. And that could be the same with when you're focused on your active income. If someone says, "Hey, I really want to increase my active income," well, are you doing those hard things that will generate you more income? Are you prospecting even though you don't like going out and prospecting? Are you making those 20, 30 cold calls when you know that that's necessary? Are you spending time on the holidays writing up a new marketing flyer that you can then send out to people, right? And those are the hard things. In fact, I just saw a clip. I think it was on, what's the guy's name? Andrew Huberman. You ever watch that guy?
I haven't.
He's like a neuroscientist. Awesome content that guy has. And he was doing a thing with David Goggins, and he was talking about there's an area of the brain. I'm not going to try to name what the area is because it's one of those scientific names and I'm going to butcher it. But in short, he was talking about there's a specific area of the brain that grows. And the only time it grows is when you are actively engaging in things that you do not want to do. So he was giving the concept of like cold plunging, because that's very popular right now. He goes, if you're doing cold plunging and you do not like cold plunging, you have fear of like, am I going to drown or am I going to hyperventilate, or like I don't like doing this. That part of your brain actually grows in that experience. But if you get to the point where you like cold plunging, right? You're comfortable with it. You actually like it. You feel like it's invigorating. And that piece or element of disliking it goes away. The growth to that area of the brain stops. So, again, it was a really interesting clip, especially with David Goggins, who's all about doing wildly hard things that you hate and can't stand, right? And taking your body to the limit. But it was just really interesting to think about our bodies have, our brains literally grow when we put ourselves in positions that we do not like to be in, right? And I think with business, you can see from experience that those are some of the times where you get the most growth, right? When you put yourself in that position that you really can't stand or you don't like, or it's really uncomfortable for you, like that's when the stretching happens. That's when the growth takes place. And so, it's interesting to see that there's like a neuroscientist that's talking about this, right? And he's kind of backing up that premise. So I thought that was pretty wild.
It reminds me of so many realistic things that you can parallel it to, like intermittent fasting, right? What that does to the stomach and how that makes your stomach activate, right? And burn more calories and just do some very positive things. Or it reminds me of a plant, right? Many times in agriculture, right, they'll stress a plant, right? Meaning to get the roots to grow deeper, right? You stress it. But if you flood it with water, right, it'll have wet feet. And then those roots won't extend and go look for more energy and more sources of food, right? But if you stress it a little bit, your roots will start digging. So if you ever bought a home with a cracked foundation because of some big oak tree, what has happened is what you're supposed to do with a lot of trees, you're supposed to put a water hose right by the base of the tree, slightly turn the water on and let that water penetrate deep. That way the roots will go chase it. But what happens is a lot of people water the grass, but they don't water a tree, right? So the tree starts to overstress, and it comes back up to the surface, and it gets
sense.
under the concrete because there's moisture under
Sure.
the concrete, and it'll break your concrete up because the tree's stressing too much, right? So everything has to have a balance. But when the brain stresses, it grows. Because it's looking for more.
Yep.
It's in a space of growth.
Yep.
Right. And that actually makes me think of, like, with your podcast, you talk about active to passive. That seems to be the reoccurring theme. And a lot of times we talk about that in investment vehicles, maybe, or how your money's performing, right? Take your active money and turn it into a passive function. But I'm also interested in us as individuals. How do we go from active individuals and to a passive individuals in the form of the activities we're doing? How do we become more passive individuals?
Okay, so just so I understand what you're saying, so are you talking about in the sense of like, kind of like that we talked about earlier, the hustler to CEO?
Correct. That's exactly what I'm talking about.
Okay, so I think the tough part about that is when you're starting the business and you're so immersed and engulfed in everything and want control over everything because you know how important every little piece is, right? And I think most people that start businesses have a certain level of wanting control, right? They want to take control of their life, which is why they want to start a business, right? Whatever it is. I think that it's very difficult to let some of that go and to delegate, because even if this is not true, we still believe that we can do the job better than the person we're delegating it to every time.
Fallacy.
Right? We think we could do it better than they can, which is not necessarily the case, right? There's plenty of things that the other person could do way better than I can, but I still think I can do it better.
But even if you can do it better, is that a better use of your time?
That's what I was just going to say. But even if you can do it better, right? Well, if I need to have two people to do the same thing that I can do, well, paying two people to do the same thing that I could do still might be a better investment than me spending my time. So whether or not they can or they can't, it's still, there's a lot of times where you still have to do it anyway. But I think what makes it hard is just taking that step back. It goes back to the fear of the unknown, right? Are they going to mess something up? Are they going to mess something that's going to lose me money, right? This is the first time I've ever had this person take this role over. So all of those unknowns start to come to the surface, like the oak tree roots, right? They all start coming to the surface, and it can create a lot of fear and anxiety. But I think as entrepreneurs and business owners, you have to eventually just take your own leap of faith, right? And you got to step back and try to establish the process as best you possibly can, right? You can't think of everything, but try to set the person up for success. And then step back and let it happen. Otherwise, you're always going to be in your business, never going to be on your business, right?
I agreed. I think it's very important to really normalize our inabilities or our challenges with delegation, right? Because it's not just a business thing. I have seen parents in which their son or daughter goes away to college, and they struggle with letting them go away to. I've had friends that had full ride scholarships to some of the best colleges, and their parents talked them out of it and said, you need to stay local. You need to go to Sac State because, you never know what's going to happen out there, and we can take care of you, because the parent did not want to let them go.
Sure.
The parent did not want to trust that they have put into their kids everything and anything that they need to have so they can go out there and face the world. I'm 34. I have some friends where their parents still do their laundry. They still stay home with their moms, right? And their moms are secure with that, right? It's like the mom, my buddy, his wife, and all the kids, right? And I'm not here to say how somebody should structure their life, but he never left the nest, right? And I can see why that is. So it's very normal. It's a very normal behavior for humans to have fear of delegating and letting go, right?
Yeah.
But I think as I try to conquer that and let go, I have to trust, just like a parent has to trust, that they put in their kids good fundamental core values, intelligence, awareness, manners, things like that, that now I can let you go out and be an adult and figure out life out. That same philosophy goes when you're hiring staff. You should be putting them, see if you're training correctly, if your systems are correct, if your processes are correct, and you have a good business, then you should be able to delegate. And so if you are fearful of them not being able to do it, well, you have a deeper problem.
Yeah.
Maybe your business is a bust.
Yeah. Or the fear of the unknown is just too heavy, right? And you're just not willing to take that risk, and then in that way you're holding your own business back from the growth it needs to have, the same way that the parent can hold the child back from the growth that they need to have, right? And sometimes you got to fall down and scrape your knee a little bit, like sometimes we got to make a mistake. And what's your lessons are in the you said lessons are in the blessings, or
yeah. I think that things can be both a lesson and a blessing.
A lesson and a blessing. There you go. And I mean, that's true, man. But, well, hey, I just want to say thank you very much for coming on and spending this time to kind of talk about, how we can go from a hustler to CEO, right, and take a step back. And I'm excited to see all the things that you're going to do, not just Q1, but through the rest of this year. And I know we got some other real estate stuff we'll do together too. So I appreciate it, man.
I totally agree. Thank you for having me, man. I just think that the platform that the platform you're providing is bringing some uber value to a lot of people, and it's already done it for me.
Thank you, brother.
And so if I was to have one request, I would ask that you continue to share your journey of the ups and downs and turnarounds, and there are many people out there that need that person like you. I think that in any business, you need different types of friends, right?
Absolutely.
And so you need somebody that is your opposite. You need somebody that will hold you accountable. And you sum up that for me. You know so many things, and you're very fair. And so I just continue to say that, and this mic's here for a reason, so you can bless the world with your perspective and how you see it.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate it. Well, thank you everybody for listening. Active to Passive podcast, and we're going to do this again very soon.
I swear.
All right, brother.
You got my word, brother.
Sounds
Thanks
good.
again. All right.
Thank you.